wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between sheltering and veiling. Sheltering technique is where you basically create, for lack of a better word, a roof over top of your focal area because you can't see through it. Whereas veiling, like if you use plumosis or something on that order, you can see through it so that it gives you just a slight visual impairment, but you can still see through that to go down to your focal area. So veiling is a lot different than what sheltering is. Sheltering actually stops the eye, so then you have to physically look underneath to get the effect that you want to go. So I've got a rectangular container and I'm just going to trim my foam just so that I don't have that point. And this helps when you water. You don't water outside the bowl. If the water hits the top of the foam, sometimes it'll catch that edge and go right outside of your dish. So if you trim that so that it goes right down into the dish, the water will stay in better and won't spill out onto the table. So I want to start, first of all, just creating my little bit of a line movement with this. So I'm going to take a little bit of, I think I'll use some foxtail fern. We'll save that for the rest. And I'm just going to extend this out to this side. And I have a tendency to design this direction when I'm creating my line movements, because to me that's more comfortable. Asymmetrical design, of course, is comfortable all the way through, but this helps me visualize this. I have a little bit of fan palm. I'm going to come down to put onto my opposite side. And I'm just going to create groupings. Now, with any type of shelter design, it doesn't have to have groupings in it. It's not characteristics. What the characteristic is basically to create some type of a roof effect with this. So I'm going to use some beautiful Xanadu to create that. And if you ever smelled Xanadu, if you ever had that opportunity, take a smell. To me, it smells like rhubarb, which I think is just really kind of fun. But it is a philodendron, and I want to use several of these to create my roof effect that I want with this. And with any type of pretty manipulative foliage like this, you can kind of make it go the direction that you want to with like anthurium, different types of philodendrons and things. You can manipulate those with the heat of your hand. Callolilies is another one. So I'm basically creating this spot right into the very center, and I want to use a third one just to basically make my eye stop when I'm looking down below. So I'm going to create my focal area with white roses. So white is a very dominant color, and so it's going to bring your attention to that, and that really helps when you're trying to create this focal area, because it just brings your eye right down into that center, and it's like you can see it. It makes you want to do that, and sometimes making it do that is the whole outcome that we want to have. I have a little bit of green trick, and I'm going to tuck in here. In certain design styles, you almost have to use foam in order to create those, because it'd be too difficult to do if you didn't have something that you can create that line movement in besides foam. If it's just a water base, it doesn't always work. If you have an armature, well, maybe so, but foam definitely makes it faster. And in a retail environment, using foam definitely makes it faster. So you can see how quick we can go, creating our basing techniques right down center, and then we have our beautiful shelter over the top. Now it just comes down to creating our basing. And I'm going to use the rest of my little foxtail fern to create. If I take it from one side, I'm going to pull it to the other side. So I'm going to create this texture on this side just by using pieces of it and tucking that in. Nothing goes to waste. Always use it all, or at least into another arrangement. So I'm going to tuck that texture down in there. And I'm going to add, let's see, let's add another green trick to this side, just so that I can cover the majority of my foam. I have an anthurium leaf. I'm going to tuck in here and give me some broadness. And then let's kind of slow this down a little bit, add some softer, a little bit of salal, and I want to bring to this side, and then to this side. And I've got this repeated enough that I can use that on both sides. anthurium leaf there. And then I'm going to use some vines, and I've got some beautiful soft vines that we're going to work it down over top and go from one side to the other, just softening that line movement just a little bit. Things are pretty bulky, and we're just going to soften that. And I think if we can see, I think we pretty much have, I've got a little bit, let me use a little bit of slough right down here to tuck that in. Bring it to the opposite side. And you can see how quickly and easily we can create that shelter design. Emphasis is here. Our eye goes boom, we see this, and then it goes, oh, there's white. I see that below, so I want to look below. And then the softness that we see with all the different foliages that are implied and grouped into that very center. So sheltering, again, is basically creating a roof over your design. Now, a shelter can be inside of a container. If I were to have like a terrarium and create a design inside of that, that's also a sheltering, but this is the most common that we see, is creating that roof over top. You can't see through it, and you've got all your basing text right down to the very center. It's an interesting design, and I challenge you to play with it.